So why don't we go ahead and get started? I want to welcome everybody. This is our weekly shelter-in-place wine tasting. So again, just by way of some news from the vineyard. Today we're mowing, so our cover crop is on fire. The whole everything around here has come to life. It's just incredible. The roses are exploding. The garden is pushing. All the vines are growing at a real high clip right now, and it's getting super green and super lush and very fragrant. Everywhere I go, I just smell amazing aromas, and so it's a lot of fun. And you probably can't hear in the background, but I have a bunch of honeybees around me right now, and it's such a great sound to have these. Spring and things coming to life, all the bird life and whatnot. So we're mowing today, which is really trying to cut back the grasses and the beans and this mustard and all the different plants that we've purposefully planted in between the rows, which helps to absorb water during the rainy season and kind of control the kind of amount of water and buildup that we have in the vineyard during the rainy season. And as we kind of mow and kind of mulch that over, it adds a lot of nutrients. It starts to build a layer of topsoil in the vineyard, which there's lots of different plants that we use, which add different nutrients. So sometimes we're thinking we need more nitrogen, or sometimes we need some other kind of an amendment to the soils, and we pick very specific cover crops to do that. So the mowing's going on today, and we try to only mow twice a year. And starting next year, we're acquiring a bunch of sheep or a bunch of lamb that will come, and we will have them on the property throughout the year, and they will essentially be moved around and will kind of go about eating the cover crop. As I mentioned before, the green goes in and the fertilizer comes out the back end, and ends up creating this great topsoil and great amendments through nature. So that's some news that's happening here. We are probably going to be suckering in the next week or so. What suckering is it's going through and pulling off all the excess growth off the vines, leaving strategic growth that could be replacement parts for the vine that may be facing some disease pressures. So it's a very strategic kind of time of year where you have to be thinking 2 years out. You have to say to yourself, what do I think is going to be happening with this vine in 2 years? Does it look healthy? Does it look like there's going to be some loss? Do we have to cut off part of the vine because of disease? And if so, we need to have a replacement part growing that usually takes 2 to 3 years to kind of take its place. So by thinking about where those replacements should come from and how they're positioned and how healthy they are, we try to make sure that we have enough replacement parts for these vines so that we have choices and options every year to replace. So suckering is a very important time. You want to do it at just the right moment where the growth hasn't gotten so out of control that it's a lot of extra work, and the vines haven't gotten so thick that you have to cut them versus just pluck them off with your hand. And so the timing of this is really tricky, and getting it just right is key. And of course, like anything in agriculture, when it's right for us, it's right for everybody else in the valley. So getting resources to do it is always a challenge. So, but we're feeling pretty good. We're pretty good at we have less to do because of the replants, so we don't need to do this suckering on all the 8 acres that we've just planted. We just need to focus on the roughly 3 acres that we have of Zin and Petit Syrah and Sauvignon Blanc. So that's what's happening kind of day to day here on the farm. We've been ramping up to do a lot more of these videos, and we've been doing a lot to create new experiences that can be done remotely. And so one thing we've just launched this week is our live virtual wine tasting kit. And so what we have, and maybe Travis, if when you can speak, you can take over the screen here. Why don't you introduce our new wine sample kit and give everybody a sneak peek?
I'll do my best Vanna White here. But basically, what it is we'll send you 6 of these little 60 ml bottles of 6 different wines. This is just the Chardonnay that I have right here. Um, and then, so we'll ship them to you, and we'll include a little wine wheel that has a bunch of different aromas on it that we'll kind of go over when we do a virtual tasting. And then we'll also have a wine evaluation form that goes through all the wines, and you can do the color, the taste, the smell, and we kind of walk you through the entire thing. And it's pretty exciting. So I've been busy making all these to ship them out to whoever wants them. So we're excited about that. But yeah, it's kind of the idea, and we have a few going out this weekend, so we're excited about it.
Yeah, we've and what's fun about this is, like for example, we have one this Saturday where a bunch of friends from different locations can't be together physically, so they all bought the kits. We shipped them to each of their individual homes, and they're all going to come together, taste the same wines, and have a wine tasting, and do that from their own homes. And we have one going out to Minnesota where there's 15 different households that are going to participate all at the same time, and that's going to be quite the affair. It's going to be like a party. So that's a whole new experience that we're doing, and we're finding that a lot of people are finding it interesting. We're even getting people, work colleagues, getting together for drinks after work. We're finding people wanting to host client events with this kind of experience. So we're excited. In the absence of us being able to do things here at the winery, or even ongoing, this is a good way to reach a lot of people that just can't get out here to the winery. So keep your eye on that. We do have it available online. They're $30 a kit, and that's meant to be shipped off. And usually one kit serves for 2 people. In case there's 2 per home, and so it's $30 a person for the tastings. That includes everything: the shipping, the package, all the tchotchkes that we throw in there as well, and wonderful hour of being with me. So hey, what's not to love about that? So why don't we switch gears a little bit and talk about rosé? So it's that time of year. Rosé is spring wine, but it's become an all-year wine. And there's really two philosophies around rosé, 2 different ways of making rosé. And there's people who, winemakers don't talk about it much because one's a little bit what we call kind of the by accident or the leftover approach. It's called the Saignée approach. And then there's the purpose-built approach, which is you're really growing the grapes, you're harvesting the grapes, you're picking them specifically for rosé, and you're making rosé by design, as opposed to having it be a byproduct of another red wine. So maybe, Travis, do you want to talk a little bit about these 2 techniques a little bit more in detail, and then we can talk about what we've done and how our rosé fits into that spectrum.
Yeah. So basically, when we'll do an example of, let's say, Pinot Noir, for instance. You get a batch of Pinot Noir and you pick, and you have, if it's a very high yielding fruit, you're going to have a lot of juice. And if you want to concentrate that, you're going to want to bleed off juice so that you have more skin contact with less juice, so it's more of a concentrated flavor for that wine. So that byproduct, when you drain that juice off, you're left with just juice that doesn't have a lot of skin contact on it. So you can turn that into rosé. It'll have a little bit of color on it, but large in part it's a byproduct. Doesn't mean it's not good. You can have some awesome Saignée wine, rosé, but it's not made with intention. I have a guest here. David, I gotta answer the door real quick. Hold on a second.
Yeah, that's not happened for a while. So go ahead. I'll take it over from here.
Utility person. Hold on a second.
Okay, so the Saignée is basically taking a red wine that has had contact for a brief moment with your skin and has picked up some color, and as Travis was saying, you're bleeding that off, or you're taking it out so that you can get a better concentration. So that leftover wine, if it's good and if you like it, and if it's in good position or good condition, you can turn that into a rosé, or basically it becomes a rosé. The other technique is what we do is we actually designate a portion of our vineyard where we grow the grapes with a view towards having them picked earlier at lower sugars, a little higher acidity. The flavor profile, we want them to be ripened and ready for action, but they don't need to be overly ripe. They don't need to be heavily ripened. The skins don't need to be quite as soft. We're not going for the normal yield. We're going for a flavor that is a rosé flavor. So your spring flavor is a little lighter, less alcohol, more acidity, and you can find some kind of fresher, greener tones in some of these wines because of that. And that's why it's such a great spring wine, because it goes great with spring dishes. And so we purpose build this, and then the way we make it, rather than just letting it bleed off of a tank, or we let it come off of a press, or take it out early from a press fraction, we actually bring this in, sort it, and foot stomp it, which is a technique that allows us to, as the sorting happens, break open the skins, get some of that juice in contact with the tannins on the skins, and to start to draw some color. And then we monitor that color very carefully over the next couple hours, usually, to see when it just gets to that perfect hue. And we love this kind of pink salmon color, the light hued salmon color that we think is just a real pretty rosé expression. So it's about monitoring. You're forecasting where is the color going to be, because it's the changing thing. It's going to get, is it darker? Is it going to get lighter over time? So you kind of have to really be careful with rosé, you can't take color out once it's in. It's very hard to do that without kind of destroying the wine. So that decision on when you finally take it off the skins is critical. So as we mentioned, this is made with intention. It is purpose built. We're monitoring the process and creating it from the ground up, and that's why we think it turns out to be, to us, a very special wine. So Travis, I kind of went over all that. I don't know if I missed anything you want to fill in the holes.
David kind of broke up at the end there, but he said it's a very special wine, which it is.
Very special. Yeah, so a couple things that we love to drink with this, eat with this, is am I still breaking up?
Yeah, a little bit. I was just going to touch on the color, like you're saying. Yeah, it's so the hue that this is at now. I don't know if you guys can see it or if you guys have it. It was probably 3 times that when we started, when we made that decision, knowing that over time, the color drops out in barrel, and when you do a sulfur addition to stop the fermentation, to stop that secondary fermentation, you're going to have to add sulfur, and that lightens it up too. So just like David said, forecasting it out is really important. So, but yeah, I just also wanted to say rosé is super fun to make. We always have a really good time with it. Yeah, not many grapes you get to foot stomp, so we have fun. It's a good time.
Yeah, and these grapes, when they come in, they're like 40 something degrees, and when you're foot stomping, you're freezing. It's like hypothermia, and so my Wisconsin roots come in handy here. That's nothing, right? 40 degrees. You guys go swimming in Wisconsin in 40-degree weather. But yeah, so food. Love this with anything that has like cranberries. So my wife made this carrot salad with olive oil, vinegar, and some honey. with a little salt and a little pepper, and then you finish it off with some dried cranberries, and you shave the carrots real fine, and then you let that steep in the vinegar olive oil, and then add salt, pepper, and honey to taste. And that salad with this is just the sweetness of the carrot and the tartness of the cranberry just complements the sweetness and the tartness of this wine really, really well. So, and you feel healthy eating it, even though I put way more honey than I probably should, but and I drink way too much rosé with it as a result. But it's a great little spring salad or summer salad to have with a rosé. Other great love, grilled spring vegetables. So asparagus is great with this. You just grill some asparagus with salt and pepper and have this, and it's just a great combination. And often Thanksgiving, it's not spring, but Thanksgiving foods, because you have that cranberry, you have those rich flavors. A rosé at the Thanksgiving table is a perfect complement. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say Mother's Day is right around the corner. And if you want to really, this is such a beautiful bottle. That label, it just screams spring and fun and festive. And, I wish I could get this out before Valentine's Day every year, because it's a great, wine for those special occasions. But we definitely recommend getting Mom, a few bottles of our rosé. And if you can't, get it for yourself and call her and celebrate your mother over the phone with a bottle of rosé. So why don't we open it up? Any questions or comments? I'd love to hear what you guys think about the rosé, how it compares with other rosés you've had, and just any other questions about what's going on. Happy to catch up with you guys and hear what's going on in your neck of the woods as well.
Just a quick comment. Rosé is great. I love, I would love to hear you and Travis talking about comparing the 18 to the 19, because this is brand new. I guess the other question I had though is, you're working hard on the estate. You're planting a lot of varietals. Are you planning on working with any other grapes to produce a rosé? This is obviously from a Zin. So what are your plans with that in the future?
Good questions. So first, maybe starting with how we compare the 18 to the 19. So truth be told, the 18 was 100% Zinfandel and the first rosé we ever made, and we were kind of experimenting, and we were super pleased with the way it came out. I think a lot of people were skeptical because there's this feeling that if you're going to make a rosé out of Zinfandel, everyone's going to think it's white Zinfandel. And there's such a bad kind of rap on white Zinfandel for a lot of good reasons, because there's a lot of really bad white Zinfandel out there. Even though it was the gateway wine for a lot of people got introduced to wine through white Zinfandel, and there's some good white Zinfandels out there. But there are a lot of people saying, no, you don't be making rosé out of Zinfandel. That's crazy. So, but we did it, and we were super happy with it, and so we continued. And the number one grape probably for rosé is usually a Grenache. But you'll also find a lot of Pinot Noir. So those two are probably neck and neck in terms of the most popular varieties to make a rosé out of. Grenache being my personal favorite. And so we are planting quite a bit of Grenache, and the plan is in the future to make a rosé out of the Grenache. Whether that's at the expense of or in tandem with our Zinfandel, we'll have to decide that in the future. So, but yeah. The 18 versus the 19. So the 19, I think we just had our technique probably that much farther along, and we also blended just a touch of Pinot Noir into this, and that, to me, that brings out this kind of a bubblegum quality. It has this really interesting sweetness and that tartness. So it's a weird kind of, to me, it's a bubblegum quality, and it's not a.
I think it's a little watermelon too.
Yeah.
It's like but yeah, the 19, I felt, we definitely had it dialed in a little bit more. 18 was a little bit more racy, zip-zeroing acidity. 19, we added that touch of Pinot to round it just a little bit more, to make it a little bit more complex, a little bit more pulled together. And yeah, I think it turned out more of a complicated rosé, if I dare say that. But yeah, we rounded it out a little bit better, I think.
So we're drinking the 18 right now, because I don't think we have the 19. You have the 19 available though, right?
We do, and it's just came out a couple weeks ago, and so we kind of probably got the timing a little off. It wasn't available in the shipments because it wasn't released yet and it wasn't ready, and so this is a little early. This is kind of a sneak peek for some. I'm not sure how many people out there actually have it that are tasting it right now. I know Jeff jumped on it, so we got him some out just in time probably. And Cynthia, do you have the 19 as well? Oh, you're muted, but I can read lips, and it says something about rosé. Yeah.
Yes, I'm drinking the 19, and I absolutely love it. And Mother's Day's coming up, and I'm going to buy some more for myself.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Yeah, so we do have the 19, and it's phenomenal. It's yeah, I'm not sure I want to sell it. But we didn't make enough, so it's okay. I'll share. And we do have a special, as we've said. Right now, 6 bottles are shipping for free. I can say that now because the ABC have given us a temporary kind of ability to ship wine for free, even though we can say things like shipping's included and your shipping is included in the price, blah, blah, blah. Legally, you're not allowed to ship wine for free or give wine away for free. So it's one of those things that we can now do. So there's all kinds of things we're able to do now, like deliveries and sell wine out of our car and do all kinds of crazy stuff, which, who knows how long that'll last. Sachiko made this carrot dish here. So this is what it looks like. It's very finely shredded carrots, then kind of tossed with olive oil and vinegar, a little bit of honey, some salt, some pepper, and those are dried cranberries in there. And it's a pretty dish too. So that with this, and you're set.
Dave, you need to include that in your wine tasting kits.
Oh yeah, we're gonna. Well, we do sell olive oil, by the way, and this is done with our own Zowines vinegar, which we also have, which is coming up online as soon as I get around to bottling it. It's like never-ending story around here.
I'm in.
But we do make our own. I make a Pinot Noir vinegar, and I make a Cabernet Sauvignon vinegar, and those are all kind of off of our own wines that we have here. So nothing goes to waste. If I don't finish a bottle, it goes into my little home vinegar kit that I've been nurturing. And there's something very, very nerve-wracking being a winemaker. And every morning I walk by this kit, which is just off my kitchen, and I smell vinegar and I start to panic because that's a smell a winemaker doesn't really like to smell. That's a nervous smell. That's the wrong smell. But luckily I'm always like, oh, and then I'm like, okay, it's safe. We're all okay. Any other questions or comments?
Yes.
Hi. We were wondering how Tyler was doing. One question. And 2 is, when do you think you'll be opening up the B&B?
Yes. So Tyler and Stacy are both furloughed, and we've had to close the inn and the tasting room, and we're not allowed to see any guests. And so we made the decision a couple weeks back that everybody should stay home and not be coming into work. And so that's where we are currently. It's a real tough situation that the whole entire industry is in. Our kind of flow of business is just shut down to nearly nothing. So all of our restaurant business is gone. All of our tastings gone. All of our overnight guests business is gone. And while you may hear a lot about how, wine sales and direct-to-consumer sales and people drinking at home is up significantly, it doesn't come even close to replacing just normal business operations. It's a trickle. It's, maybe, it's very, very little business whatsoever. All the events, like Greg, we had an event scheduled back last month, and that, there's lots of these events that have been canceled. It's pretty tough, but the work in the farm continues, the work in the vineyard continues, the work in winemaking continues, and we're optimistic that if everyone kind of continues to play nice in the sandbox and works together to deal with the situation, we might be able to have some form of openness, whatever that looks like, sometime. In my guess, it's going to be June, July timeframe before things might kind of open up again. But I could be wrong. We're waiting to hear. Technically, May 6th, I think, or May 2nd, I think, is the end date of the current formal shelter-in-place rules that we have here in Sonoma. I'm not sure that I've seen that change yet, but because the California situation, the virus has been slowed so much, it feels like we're at a plateau point, and it's just going to prolong. And until there's all those solutions that everyone's searching for, we're having to wait and see and be ready to go back to shelter in place whenever it's necessary. So tough times currently for us in the hospitality side of our business, and I wish I had better news, but that's kind of where we are, and we're not alone. It's kind of across the entire industry. So we're hoping that some form of reopening could happen as early as later in May, and hopefully when that happens, we can see if we can't get kind of people back to work and get things going again. So we're hanging in there, and making the most of it. We're not alone, and I just hope that at the end of the day, this gets through as fast as possible.
Hey, David, do you think they'll slowly ease into things? I know you all had kind of put together some kind of less contact tastings to allow you to open up at least somewhat. Do you think they'll do that? I mean, are you hearing anything that maybe they'll do that before they flip a switch and it becomes kind of more back to normal?
What we're hearing is that similar to restaurants, there will probably be some guidelines that say you can open up, but with significantly less volume and with lots of physical separation. For example, restaurants are saying you can seat half of your seats so that there's a table in between each guest. Disposable menus, all kinds of ideas where you're limiting contact with people. And part of me is like, that kind of takes away the entire experience. So why create a sterile, very informal and kind of inhuman, kind of non-personal experience for people? Is that what people really want? Do they really feel like coming up to wine country and walking into an empty room with wines poured, taste, and kind of use an iPad to leave comments or buy wine or sign up and then walk out without really talking to anybody? We're going to be able to do that if that's what the world becomes and we need to do, and we'll have that capability. I'm not expecting that to be the thing that people want to do, but we'll see. I need to be ready for any eventuality. So we do have some of these ideas. We do pickups now. We do delivery now. We do sell and ship these little sample kits, and we're trying to do wine tasting remotely so at least people have the wine. They don't have to buy 6 full bottles. They can buy, it's $30 and you get a whole kit and you get our time for an hour. It's not a bad deal. So we're hoping that that can be something that doesn't just last now, but could be something useful for folks who can't visit wine country and want some kind of connection and ability to experience what we're doing here in some way, shape, or form. So, on a happy note, this weather is incredible, and it sure is hard to imagine what's going on in the world when you're here, pretty socially distant and isolated from everybody on the vineyard all the time. And so, I'm upbeat and ready, ready to continue to do what we do, which is focus on making great wines. And we've already reviewed this year's harvest plans, and we're excited about all the wines and the vineyards that we're working with. And the new plantings are moving along and coming in, and I'm real excited about how that's going to transform ourselves into very much an estate-driven winery. So look forward to lots of new things in the future, as well as consistent delivery of some of the wines that you guys have come to love, that we're going to continue to deliver.
Great.
And looking forward to coming
Thank
out
you,
and
David.
doing the events with you guys in Wisconsin soon. So
Yeah,
I
we're
hope so.
working on that.
We're
We'll
excited about it.
I'll send you a couple emails with some potential dates.
sounds good. All right.
Well, cheers.
Oh. Next week, we have a special guest. We're going to have Daniel Barron joining us, who was the wine director and winemaker at Silver Oak for 20-odd years. He worked with us to help launch Zoe Wines. He was our wine consultant and continues to work with us on a lot of projects. And we're going to be tasting the 2018 Sauvignon Blanc next week, this Thursday. And Daniel was quite instrumental in the kind of thought process and some of the special things that we do with our Sauvignon Blanc. So it should be a lot of fun to hear from him directly and have a little guest, remote guest from his own Napa location. But that'll be next week. So look forward to seeing you guys again, and take care, stay healthy, stay safe, and drink well.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
David.
Cheers.